Fascinated by Dante Alighieri's Dante's Inferno, an epic poem recounting the poet's journey through the 9 circles of hell, I was immediately drawn to the story of the tragic heroine, Francesca de Rimini. As legend has it, she was forced into a political marriage with a brutal, much older man, and in the process fell madly in love with her brother-in-law. Eventually, the husband caught the two in the midst of passion and murdered them both before they could repent to God, thus damning them to the second circle of hell, lust. Although this story dates back to the 13th century, the deeply powerful emotions that one experiences in love of passion, happiness, lust, anger, betrayal are all universal emotions experienced by humans. What I want to achieve in my exhibition is to evoke personal thoughts and emotions of the viewer's own memories of their experiences of love. The way I'll achieve this is through taking the viewer on a journey through Francesca's story, where we see her transition from a naive, innocent character to an assured, complex woman that has broken free from repression. Now I'll be going through the inspiration and aims of the 5 components of my exhibition. After reading Edmund Burke's A Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of Our Ideas of the Sublime and Beautiful, I wanted to particularly explore the ways in which I could express the most profound quote of this book through my videography. The passion caused by the great and the sublime in nature is astonishment, and astonishment is that state of the soul in which all its motions are suspended, with some degree of horror. When I'm in Hakuba and Chiba, I experience this exact feeling of serenity and rejuvenation. The combination of the rivers and waterfalls in Chiba and the rice fields and forests in Hakuba creates a stark contrast with the pure white form of Francesca's dress. Italian director Matteo Garrone successfully makes the viewer experience the spiritual feeling in the short film The Myth d'Or through utilizing unusual camera angles that immerse the viewer into the natural landscape. The backdrop is the driving force behind the transition the viewer sees within Francesca's character throughout this film, from a symbol of naivety and innocence to an assured, powerful individual. This is only heightened by the backtrack Onda by the Korean band Jambinai. I was particularly drawn to the sound of the haegum, a fiddle-like instrument which creates a distinct noise that sounds as though a woman is screaming. You're now faced with 3 large photographs of Francesca de Rimini. Inspired by Wolfgang Tillmann's effective use of layout to convey a narrative, I created a storyline of Francesca innocently strolling through the forest, then being stopped by this blaring and slightly purifying light that unleashes this powerful feminine force within her. This reiterates the power that Francesca summons through nature, thus breaking free. Hence why this collection is called Liberato, meaning set free in Italian. Now we descend towards the next room, where you're greeted to Francesca spinning in a lustful manner for 3 minutes. This makes reference to the playful, naive figure that the viewer remembered seeing in the beginning of A Loss of Innocence. As the camera slowly zooms in closer and closer to Francesca, the viewer slowly loses sight of her. I wanted to incorporate fog into my piece in order to create a disorientating atmosphere, where the viewer will find it hard to navigate themselves in the exhibition space. Drawing inspiration from Eugene Studio's Gold Rain, I wanted this piece to not take the same form twice. So, I placed a remote controller in the middle of the room with the words "Push Me" written in bold letters, where the viewer can control the amount of fog exerted out of a fog machine. The viewer is now positioned as Minos, the judge of the damned, where they determine the extent to which Francesca should be punished, through the amount of fog they exert out. The greater the amount of fog being exerted, the further down Francesca descends to. The quivering whisper of Bjork's singing and echo of Stain guides you to the apex of this exhibition. The sight of Francesca's dress that has been featured in every piece previously is now seen floating in an angelic manner. Deriving inspiration from Alexander McQueen's window display in Almontesando, where the mannequins look as though they are just hovering on their own without the support of any mannequin. I wanted to play with the visual illusion of heaviness and lightness. The dress is floating with the illusion that there is some sort of ghostly form that is filling the dress. The way I created this effect was through the fabric stiffening solution of mixing PVA glue and water at a 1:1 ratio. But simultaneously, there's a sense that something is holding her down from elevating to heaven. The pristine white of the dress juxtaposes the red flesh heart, symbolizing the true feelings of passion and love that Francesca seeks. Looking through the photographs I took in Hakuba, I was able to imitate the same movement of Francesca throwing her wings in the air in a fierce manner. It's quite interesting how the shape of the overall silhouette could take so many forms, such as a dove, which symbolizes love. As you look closer at the wings, you'll be able to see the delicate hand embroidery of the epilogue of Francesca's story in Dante's Inferno, when as we read of the much-longed-for smile, being by such a noble lover, kissed. This one who near from me shall be divided, kiss me upon the mouth all palpitating. Galeotto was the book, and he who wrote it. That day no farther do we read therein. This following right behind her steps at the edge of her wings suggests that perhaps Francesca was irrevocably doomed from the beginning. In this final room, my aim was to create a very intimate connection between the viewer and Francesca. The way I went about achieving this is through projecting the video betadine. The layers of flesh, flower petals, and silk peeling away unveils who Francesca truly is as a woman. Inspired by the slightly erotic and mysterious forms found in Nina Cholet and Clotilde Matha's Els, I deliberately made this video quite carnal in order to play with the ideas of femininity, embracing the female body in a heavenly way. The backtrack in Echo is Stained by Björk plays into the eerie mood of the video. More specifically, the recurring beating sound likens the beating of a heart, which I felt was an important symbol throughout this video of Francesca's lust being navigated by what her heart wants, but is eventually what ends up getting her killed. Furthermore, the meaning behind the few lyrics that Björk sings in the song is quite impactful and helps narrate Francesca's story. Lines such as "I cannot say no to you" certainly feels reminiscent of Francesca and Paolo's love affair. Finally, this last sentiment, free falling, complete, is quite ambiguous in what Björk may mean. But how I interpreted these last words in my video is that this was the point of peripeteia, where Francesca cannot go back and has fallen down to hell, where she is complete. Walking away from the dress, the viewer is probably experiencing a wide range of emotions, from admiration and astonishment, but as well as to feelings of mourning or even anger at the suggestion that Francesca has passed on to a metaphysical realm at the end of Beatitudine. What exactly this new space that Francesca elevates or descends to is left up to the viewer. To support the viewer's decision on how they think Francesca's story ends, I have 10 abstract photos floating at the end of my exhibition. Inspired by the coherence of Rongrong and Inri's photography series, Jife Kyoto, I want to bring together the conflicting forces between humans and nature, more specifically the interaction between man-made fabric and the natural world. Despite the two juxtaposing each other, there are interestingly many recurring patterns and shapes found in both. Ultimately, by the end of this experience, if the viewer has made a personal connection with Francesca's story, I'll have succeeded as an artist. I've designed my exhibition space in this way to deliberately present the polarizing emotions felt in love. There's an overriding shift in the exhibition from the punchy, exciting colors from Liberato and A Loss of Innocence to the obscure and abstract nude color palette of the latter half of this exhibition. This acts as a symbolism of the way love has changed Francesca, which in turn will make you as the viewer reflect upon your own experiences in and out of love.